Ecuador has become one of the most democratic countries in Latin America. It has seen a dramatic reduction of poverty and a constant economic growth since the start of the Citizens' Revolution 8 years ago. Now, the people's government is under attack. This is the topic we will cover this week in Manifest Your Voice. Ecuador had historically been dominated by an anti-democratic elite serving foreign interests of hegemonic countries, thus in the last 3 decades implementing neoliberal policies benefiting foreign corporations and affecting the well-being of the majority of the Ecuadorian population. Due to these policies, the country faced over a decade of permanent turmoil due to the people resisting the neoliberal agenda of selling out the country. This led to 3 presidents being toppled by the people in less than 10 years, leading to the elections in 2007 of the current president of Ecuador, Rafael Correa, who holds a PhD in economics, and finally, achieving stability for the country and the return of democracy through the Citizens' Revolution. Central to stronger growth was the tripling of social investments, which now accounts for 15% of the country's GDP, along with the safeguards to ensure the wealth is being successfully redistributed to benefit all Ecuadorians. As a result, poverty index has fallen by 1/3, with over 1.1 million lifted out of poverty since 2007. Ecuador has also seen inequality fall faster than any other country in the region. It now has the lowest unemployment rate in its history at 4.9%. The Correa administration has restored the role of the state, guaranteeing free education up to university level. Ecuador now holds the second highest level of public investment in higher education in the world, and implementing free healthcare. To fund much of this, the Correa government targeted tax evasion, a big problem which had been bleeding public revenues. As a result of this social change, President Correa has been rated as one of the most popular presidents in Latin America. Correa and his supporters have won 10 elections since 2007. Promoting equality and tackling discrimination has also been given greater emphasis than in the country's past. In 2007, Ecuador inaugurated its first public TV station and, together with the state-owned radio stations, promoted programs in Quechua and other indigenous languages. With the new media law approved in 2013, 34% of the country's radio and TV frequencies are assigned to community media run by the people. So far, 14 radio frequencies have been assigned to each of the country's indigenous groups. Laws to protect minorities have also been implemented, including a law which compels companies to reserve 4% of jobs for people with disabilities and other quotas for minority ethnic groups in order to narrow inequality gaps. The same has been applied in the country's higher education system. In order to tackle Western domination, the Correa government shut down the US military base in Manta and asserted control over the country's oil and other natural resources, taking them away from domination by multinationals, and canceled the punishing international debt. In the past, 3 times as much was spent on debt repayment than on social services. As a result, fierce opposition came from the old elite and its allies in Washington, and the 2010 coup proved how concerned the old powers were at Correa's successes. On September 30th, a police riot ended up in a violent revolt against President Correa, who was held hostage in a hospital for several hours. The clashes resulted in 10 deaths, including a presidential guard. Documents emerged showing massive US funding for policemen and opposition groups through US aid. Despite this direct threat, Correa continued to assert an independent foreign policy. One of his boldest moves was granting Julian Assange asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in London in 2012, a move that angered the UK, Swedish, and United States government. Recently, Correa began to shape the debate around inequality and wealth distribution in the South American country. How can we call a country a democracy if less than 2% of families own 90% of big businesses? Asked Correa across various social media platforms. As a clear attack on the Citizens' Revolution, the opposition claims that 2 new bills aimed at addressing inequality and the concentration of wealth will impact poor and middle-class families. President Correa opted to temporarily withdraw the bill in an effort to promote a national debate around these new measures to be able to provide the people a fair say in this matter. As President Rafael Correa said in 2014, people must prevail over capital, adding that politics is about whose interests government serves, elites or majority, capital or humankind, the market or society. Policies and programs depend on who holds the balance of power. Now, who is attacking progress in Ecuador? According to several media outlets, the United States is actively involved in supporting this destabilization plot. Guillermo Lasso, a wealthy banker who Correa soundly defeated in the last presidential election, has said that the measures proposed by the president are an attack on those who have been prosperous and the meritocracy that exists in the country. Correa addressed those comments directly, asking what kind of meritocracy justifies the fact that in 2014, retired Guillermo Lasso earned $15 million, which is to say the equivalent of 3,500 years of wages for a worker. How can that be morally justified? Another opposition leader, Mayor Jaime Nebot, was caught on tape telling his supporters to attend anti-government protests in old cars in order to give the appearance that demonstrators come from humble backgrounds. Nebot also admitted in an interview on CNN that he would be among the 2% that would be affected by the new inheritance taxes.
Usted no está dentro de ese 2%, ¿sí o no?
No, yo sí estoy dentro del 2%.
Both Lasso and Nebot have called on supporters to continue to demonstrate against the government despite Correa's effort to promote a national debate. Before, the poor had to fight against the government of the bankers. Today, the rich fight against the government of the poor for the crime of seeking a bit of social justice, said Correa via his Facebook account. The government has significantly boosted economic growth to the extent that it is one of the best in the region. That success was achieved in spite of the fact that Correa came to office on the eve of the global financial crisis, and Ecuador is hampered by not having its own currency. A true revolution, as the famous Cuban revolutionary and singer Pablo Milanés once said, the citizens' revolution in Ecuador is one of the most authentic revolutions in Latin America. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.